Okay, it is 6:56 PM on March the 6th, 2025. And I'll do roll calls. So Terry Warner,
Here.
Matthew McGovern, did he try and get on?
He did. He tried, and then he is gone. No, wait. He's still on there. Yeah.
Okay, so Laura
Here.
Sanchez Fowler, Mike McLeod,
Here.
and Sam Houston Clinton.
Here.
Okay, if you please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And the invocation. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this time together and for this, the people who are willing to serve in local government, Lord God. And I just ask that you be with us and help us just make really good decisions, Lord God. And as always, I thank you for the gift of salvation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and I do want to explain to the public that we were doing cyber training, and I do apologize that we were unable to explain that before now. Matthew McGovern was the only one who had completed the cyber training. We were overdue, and since we had a captive audience, we took the first 30 minutes to go ahead and get that done. Oh, who's on Zoom?
Got a few people on there.
All right. Okay, we have a public comment from Mary Beth Harper. Okay,
Okay, I put a thing right here, Martindale minutes on your paper, and this is the library's list in March. A couple of things last year. Okay, on on Wednesday the 19th of the month, so years or adults, thankfully. On Thursday, it's story time, from 11 to 12. And on Fridays, there's coffee conversation also from 11 to 12. You think they get pretty hot in here speaking. Okay, also on tomorrow is any book club that you read, any book you go in and talk about. Then on Saturdays, it's Creative Kids, and that's from Save the Children. And we've been very successful with that. Okay, some other things. Yeah, some of our current activities include tax aid. There's trained people that come in and help you figure out your taxes, they'll file for you. Yeah, this is sponsored by AARP. It's all free as a service to the community. And it's on Tuesdays from 9 to 11 and 1 to 5 in Brooksville, 413 Main Street. And call the library for appointments. And the next appointment starts March 25th. The date on here is not correct, March 25th. Okay, so far 127 returns have been filed, and that's just being there on Tuesday, every week. On Wednesdays, we have the diabetes management class, and that meets from 9 to 11 on Wednesday mornings, also in Brookstore. No class next week because of spring break, but we'll return on the 19th. And this is sponsored by Area Agency on Aging. St. David's Foundation also provides some support for that. Okay, on Saturdays from 10 to 12 is Creative Kids. This is a grant from Save the Children. Okay, this Saturday is an art program. Upcoming Saturdays are music, drama, yoga, so on. And so far, there's 18 kids and 21 adults that attended and one dog. I don't know the story about the dog. Okay, and we're working on a candidates forum, or talked to two candidates for mayor. Okay, Sam, you're unopposed, but we do, when we get the final date and the time, we'll notify her. And this will be in Brooksville. Okay, Kite Day is Saturday, May the 5th, from 1 to 3 in Bates Park. And volunteers, I'm asking favors, volunteers can get free parking possibly on that Saturday in Bates Park. Yeah, we did last shot back.
I thought it was 12 to 4 or something.
It's our volunteers that start riding on 11.
What day is it again?
May the 5th
May the 5th. Okay.
is on a Saturday.
May the 5th is on a Monday.
Pardon?
A Monday?
Oh, so it must be May 3rd.
Oh. Oh, April 5th, excuse me.
April
Oh,
5th.
April.
That's April.
All right.
Oh, April 5th. Okay.
Is that the same day as the chili cook-off?
Yes, it is.
All right.
That's right, that's why.
The chili cook-off.
Oh.
Well, you can get some chili. Come back. They'll stamp your hand. They start like 7, I think,
Oh.
but.
It's not ready to eat that
It's not
early.
ready.
Oh, that's.
You have time to go fly a kite and come back.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to go to both.
I did not know. Also, we have a seed library, I'm over the whole building, a bunch of seeds, if you want them in your garden. Now, this is unlike a regular library, you don't have to return the seed. And also National Library Week is April 6th through 12th, just let y'all know. Okay, that's it.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. Okay, we'll move on to reports. So the citywide cleanup is Saturday, April 12th. And we do have Gary Job Corps coming with at least 8 volunteers. They may have more. And so I've asked for 8 dumpsters again at the same place. And so
I have a question about mattresses. Have we,
we'll
What-
do the same thing we've done the last 2 years. We'll just pay because they don't like them
pay extra and just put them in a separate
in
dumpster?
one dumpster. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we really can't tell people, no, they wait for that day to come and dispose of.
Well, and they'll just throw them on the road.
Yeah, otherwise we'll find
Or
them
the
in the
river.
park. So, yeah. Okay, last, oh, was there any more questions about cleanup day? Okay.
What time does it start?
Oh, we usually do 8 o'clock to noon or whenever the dumpsters get full. So I've asked the Gary Job Corps volunteers to come at 7:30
Have we
to try and get organized. People do start
have
coming.
we contacted Sean McDonald with the tractor?
I have not.
We need a tractor with a bucket.
Okay.
Yeah,
Critical.
very useful.
Very critical.
Very, very, very.
Okay. That's a good suggestion. I always forget that.
Yeah, you gotta have a tractor.
And you seem asked to. We'll both ask.
Okay.
Okay, so not yesterday, but a week before Wednesday, Jared, Mike and I went to Capitol Day. I had sent out an email inviting all elected officials and anybody else who was really interested. It was really a lot of fun. Mike and I rode the bus along with the Judge Hobby Hayden, and a bunch of other people. And we got to the Capitol right at 9 o'clock. So we were 15 minutes later than we thought. So we hustled up to the House chambers. Did I say that right? House. Okay. And we were there just a few minutes, and we were introduced that we were there as a county. And then we hustled over to Judith Zaffarini's office. We didn't even go in the office. We got to see her and wave, and she said a few words to us and took the name of elected officials. And then we went into the Senate chambers, and she introduced all elected officials and our county and the other counties that she was in charge of. And so from there, we went to Don Buckingham's, an area in the Capitol where she was taking photos with people who are receiving money through the GLO or General Land Office. And that was very quick and fast. We walked a lot of stairs. My legs really hurt by the end of the day, by the end of the morning, I should say. We did slow down. And then we went back to the House chamber, and I don't remember why, but we were there for about 10 minutes. And then we went to a conference room where, I might need help with this. I don't remember her name.
Mrs. Cruz,
Yes, Mrs.
Valerie
Cruz.
Cruz.
She was from the governor's office for,
Economic development.
economic development and trade, what do you call that?
And tourism.
Tourism.
And I reminded her, tourism.
And that was very informational. That was a really good talk. And she spent about 45 minutes to an hour with us. And she told us, one of the things that stuck with me was that Texas, if it was its own country, would be just behind France in GDP in the world.
Wow.
That we do that much trade here in Texas. I don't know, was there anything from that
Oh,
that
yes.
stuck with you?
Yes, it definitely stuck. She talked about all these corporations coming in, the infrastructure, roads, treatment plants, and you in the county, y'all really need to be on board to be ready for this. And the judge Hoppy said, well, we need help. We're inundated with all the traffic and growth. And I said, your card says tourism. Where are the people gonna go when it's 100 degrees with all these developments? They're coming to our river.
Yes,
They're coming to our city. And we need money and help to develop our parks and a zero discharge plant. And I guess she was listening, but they all, I consider infrastructure, parks is definitely infrastructure. And so is zero discharge treatment.
yeah,
So what I took out of it, they got all this phenomenal growth. Texas is not ready. We don't have the roads, we don't have the parks, and we don't have the treatment plants. So that's kind of what I looked into. It's great for property taxes and everybody gets all this money, but we take the hit of it. And a point, the county complained to her that the county does not have much control. And you know who has the control is the city. And it's called ordinances.
yeah,
And if we don't have ordinances, we get a city dump put on the river like it did in 1983, and that's why the city was incorporated.
yeah.
So everybody talks about this little town, how it's useless and all that. It protects everybody from the ETJ, can ban other items. If we don't have a city, we can't do ordinances, and there you go.
You can't protect people.
Can't protect the river. So
Yeah,
I'll
that's
leave
a
it at
good
that.
point. Jared, did you have anything to add about that?
No, I thought the conversation was really insightful, just in the way that they approach, the economic advantages that Texas has when as a state, they try to recruit companies coming in, and sometimes they don't even have to recruit. Companies know that Texas is open for business and they choose to come in. There was one anecdote where she described a project where Texas was a leading candidate and other states provide, an insane amount of tax incentives and other infrastructure support. We lost out on a project, Caldwell County apparently lost out on a project that was related to that. But the main takeaway for me was, you have the workforce requirements, you have the infrastructure requirements, and then you have the incentive structure. And you really need all three of those working together for development of any scale to work. And each of those lanes have a different governmental organization working with them. So the city's role in infrastructure, how can we pair that? What are the community college, ACC, AAC, and Texas State, how do they fit in? I think Martindale has a strategic advantage in a lot of those areas other than infrastructure currently. And so something we'll continue to tackle as we get into development agreements and other things.
She had some good things to say about the university also, in that how, it used to be considered a party school and now it's becoming known as an engineering school.
Yeah.
Which really surprised me. I didn't realize that it had that reputation, so I knew it
It's
had
up there, admission
grown.
requirements and stuff like that.
Oh,
I mean,
have
their
they?
admission requirement, yeah.
And to give her credit, I have to give her credit where credit's due. She did talk about the pyramid, and quality of life is up there, close to the peak of the pyramid, which means parks and recreation. So she did say that.
Yeah,
She did spend some time about that.
and then after lunch, we got to go and spend about a half hour, 40 minutes with our representative, Stan Gertz, yeah. He's a young guy and he got reelected, and that was very fun.
He was a good guy. I was
We
I
had
was
good
hitting him up also.
conversations.
He was talking about possibly giving us contact for Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Yes,
He has, so hope we can reach out to him, possibly get some grants from Texas Parks and Wildlife. And I'm gonna pick on Texas Parks and Wildlife. We need more parks, and Texas Parks and Wildlife needs to pony up. We're really behind compared to the rest of the nation. We've got very little public land, so but he's aware of that.
and now's the time to push for it, because last year they voted in $1 billion to purchase more parkland.
Weren't we just talking recently about a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant, and we were gonna have a discussion and then try and submit something by a certain date? Whatever happened to that?
I know talked about different park options. A lot of those Texas Parks and Wildlife grants have a 50-50 match, but you can donate land dedicate land as part of that matching contribution. I know, council member Fowler is looking at Fowler, sorry.
Hard to say, isn't it?
But we knew the deadline of that was March 7th.
Oh, no, that was for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
So we didn't have a chance to put that on the agenda for this meeting?
No, it takes a long time to plan.
Well, but I mean, she had been doing the work, and that's the task that she was presented to say, plan it up, get it all ready, and we'll put it on the agenda, and then it didn't happen.
I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
sure what you're talking about.
That's something we discussed previously, but it's not on the agenda tonight. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Okay, no, I thought that's what we had discussed.
that would have been
earlier.
way too soon, just in the last few weeks, to get that together.
It was a planning grant, so it wouldn't have been, I spent the last week writing it, thinking that that's what we said last time we met. But it's fine. We will pivot.
Okay.
So when we get to the part about future agendas, we'll put it on the agenda?
It won't matter. I mean, we can put other grants, but this one, we needed to submit by the 7th, so that's tomorrow. So, yeah, we don't need to, but thank you, I appreciate that. Very kind of you.
I just thought we had talked about that. Okay.
It's a
thank
lot
you.
of work, Sam, putting on
That
something
was-
that you.
Well, that's what she's been working on this whole past
Yeah,
week.
but it's a lot of process, it's a long process. So,
She had been working on it this whole past week, so all I'm saying is that we talked about putting it on the agenda before March 7th. And we all knew that, but then it didn't happen. So that, we missed out on that because of the deadline of March 7th. That's all.
Very bad.
I forgot my public comments when Cloud said something about infrastructure. Okay, San Marcos is going to build another sewer plant. And it's going to be on 1978 and Seguin Highway. And it's going to empty into York Creek. I don't know where York Creek empties into San Marcos River. Is it below that?
York Creek, it'd be way down. York Creek's up by, way up 35, it goes in there. I think it'd be a ways down. You're
So
right.
you won't pick up your,
Not here, but downstream, but they'll probably have the more stringent permit requirements.
You mean like, where would be downstream of us? Like what
Where
town?
York Creek dumps into the San Marcos somewhere, I don't know exactly.
But it's like not.
It's downstream of us. So,
Yeah. And
Got
it. I don't
Smurf
know.
is working on that.
Yeah.
What, finding that for you?
well, San Marcos will probably, they've already got a 552, they need to go. They need to go, I hope they do zero discharge. I don't know, I haven't followed it.
this is a development that's between, the new loop.
Yeah.
And, 1984.
Yeah.
Now, where is it? It's just back up.
Are they trying to get their permit? Are they in the process of getting a permit for TCQ? That takes time with that.
It's River Bend Development, they're wanting to, San Marcos offered their sewer line.
Okay, sewer line
Yeah,
and to build a plant?
they were gonna have a package plant, that got
I
shot
don't
down.
think San Marcos did that. It'd be probably something to do, it'd have to do attached to their regional plant or extended. I don't think so. I've heard about it, but I don't have any information.
But Bastrop Road is the ones, back toward, Redwood Road.
Okay, the Mayan group and the Ball Ranch is hooking up. They got a sewer line
Yeah.
and they're hooking up their
Okay,
regional.
Ball Ranch is.
That's going into their regional plant. They're putting in sewer. So I can tell you, that's for sure. So that's when they negotiate with the city. So it'll be pipe, be sewer lines. That's when I did all that work on 621. That's going to their regional plant. So. But I did hear something about another plant farther down, but that's gonna be hooked up.
There's so much development going on. It's hard to keep up with all of it. Okay, so then the very next day, Matthew McGovern and I went to Lockhart for a meeting with the county. And Patty Swords was representing Langford. And they were introducing a grant for the entire county on hazard mitigation. So I had passed out this survey. This is going to go out in the mailing for the utility bills. And the meeting was actually quite short. It was about 25 minutes. There were quite a few people there, and I also put in the packet a couple other papers that they are asking us to think about as representatives from the city. And, but the very first one would be to get people to do this survey of what they think. Like for us, we're always worried about flooding in the river and stuff like that. Another city was worried about spills if a train car fell over or something. And that's a whole nother category of, it's not a natural disaster, it'd be more like a man-made disaster if they had to clean up a spill like that. So the county does have a plan and I have the binder on it, but this will be a new one that will take place of the old one. So we'll be working on that in the coming months.
Any updates on the siren that we were gonna have when it floods, the one on the
No,
water tank?
The county's still working on that. That's part of a countywide system. And they've put new batteries in them. They've done different things and then they kind of let it rest. And then when I bring it up, they'll go and do something else. But we haven't gotten them working yet.
When's the last time that they've done something about that?
Gosh, it's been about a month or 5 weeks ago. I talked to Hector.
So with this survey, I mean, it is a countywide survey, but how does the results from this survey interface with our own city and the, say, ordinance that we have or how we're trying to collect, I mean, how we're trying to mitigate problems that we have in our own floodway, with, structures, RVs, gazebos, storage sheds.
Well, and I did bring up to them about our RV ordinance when we were there. Because I think we're the only ones that have that so far, and they did find that really interesting. And I need to send that to them, but because it's not something someone has thought about. So by having input from all parts of the county
Mhm.
about different problems, I mean, the sirens is a good
Mhm.
one. But things I never thought about was like when he was talking about when a railroad car, because we don't have railroad cars.
Mhm.
So just thinking about the county as a whole, how do you take care of it? Like they're building an evacuation center and Matthew brought up to them, well, could we have a mini one? And
Yeah.
he's like, probably not because we've got this one for the whole county. I don't know.
I think also an added feature to what she was describing, like, because there's benefits to the whole county when people fill out those. There's also, it asks you where you're from in the county. So they'll be able to just group the responses that way as well. And so if there's stuff that like Martindale people respond to, and there's enough Martindale people that it's usable information, then they can give us just that part of it and we can review what our people said.
Oh, good.
To add to your point, what happens after this? So eventually, all this input is going to go into a hazard mitigation plan for the county. Back in 2019, 2020, City of Martindale signed on to the county's hazard mitigation plan, allowing the county to lead that effort with their hazard emergency coordinator and such. The city has an option to do it its own, but it doesn't make sense for us to do it on our own because we're so small. The plan becomes the basis for projects. And so within that plan, there will be a table of 30 to 40 projects within the county, some of those specific to Martindale. And then those projects being included in that plan make them eligible for hazard mitigation grants going forward. So the input that you provide, that the community provides to the survey could very likely really result in dollars that the city gets 7 years from now for grants and things. So it's a little bit delayed, but you have the ability to influence how investments are made in a hazard mitigation context by filling out the survey.
Did anyone talk about floodplain administrators and what cities in Caldwell County have them and which ones don't?
That's a great comment to make
Yeah.
in the hazard mitigation plan, because maybe the county can identify a resource for that going forward that might be lacking now.
No, it is
And-
lacking.
I'm not,
Not.
I'm not-
might be.
I think that's an opinion that I'm not going to, I think there's reason for saying that.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
Definitely reason for saying that. So,
Right now, our
Floodplain
police chief.
administrator that's in charge of a particular area, that plan that they're talking about that Jared was just explaining, they're gonna compile it all into a giant plan. It has sections for each area that participates out of the county. And in their contact information, they'll have whether they have a floodplain administrator or not.
it's contagious, don't worry.
So you can actually look it up and just do like a tally. If you really wanted to know.
Okay, thank you.
I guess my question, Mayor.
Oh, just a minute.
That's
Who-
Matthew.
Oh,
Hi,
I got a
Matthew.
question.
Hi, guys. I just have two things. One is, I did post on Facebook the Survey Monkey from the county, earlier today. So if y'all would please share that and, get that out to your neighbors, that'd be awesome. And then the second, Mayor, if you would maybe forward to the council the paperwork that they handed out during that, event, the other day, maybe that'll appease Mr. Clinton and he'll understand some of the scope of the work a little bit better.
I saw
I think
that.
it'll give him some clarification. Obviously seeing is
Oh.
believing.
No, it's not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
you.
Matthew.
I guess my question is, how can we, what would be the best way for us to get this word out to our city? It's very important for them to do the survey.
Well, person to person, if they would like 100 responses from Martin. So if we can encourage, if we take it and then we encourage anybody and everybody that we know around us to take it.
Cause you know how it works in Martindale, because most people see that utility bill, they throw in the trash can.
Yeah, some
I
people.
mean, some people, but I don't know, is it go door to door?
Well, I think
Uh,
just in your daily interactions, if you,
I
we're,
mean,
we're willing to.
if it's that critical for us to get money, I think we probably should find some way, I don't know how we can do that, but, get the word out. Maybe post it in the post office, maybe post it. in
We've got it
duets.
on our website and
Do duets, post office.
Yeah. as many people as we can. Person to person works really well.
But I mean, we really need to brainstorm on that because, it's hard to get people to look at stuff. I don't know. I'm just saying, my concern would be, if it's that critical to get grant funds, we need to have participation.
Well, and to get the information, when I was at that meeting, it kind of reminded me of how Langford is doing our comprehensive plan. It's like they're gathering information and they're going to be putting it together. That's what I kind of gathered from that meeting. So the more information we can get to them, the better. So if you can encourage as many people.
Does anybody have any just brainstorm it, how we can get it out to the public?
I mean, all the stuff you're saying, Mike, really what y'all need to do or what the city needs to do. Post it everywhere. What Matthew also said, to share it on that Facebook page, to share it there.
I'd say post
Yeah.
office. I'd say post office.
It's already there.
It's already there. Okay, post office, maybe duets.
Is it printed? Is it a printed
Then
form?
we could-
Yeah, it's gonna
And
be
there's
sent out.
one up there.
Yeah, there's a bunch right next to the agenda.
So can we all take a handful and hand them
There
out?
you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
There you go. That's a good suggestion.
Yeah,
I can hand them out in my neighborhood.
And out to your neighbors. And out to your neighbors. Yeah.
try and encourage people to just take a few minutes. It doesn't take.
Maybe the
very
library
long.
can put some over there. Just get the word out, because that's the problem in this town. Because a lot of people don't look
Well,
at Facebook,
and I think that's the problem everywhere with
Yeah.
things like this.
you know.
And then I didn't put this on the agenda, but just to throw it in, do this one too. This is from, Campo, and they're doing a transportation plan. And so if you get it on there and
Oh, I thought that was closed. It's still open?
it's still open.
Oh, good. We'll get some more people in.
Because this is critical, really, because
Yeah,
we're in Floodway Alley and all this development, Spark Terminal, San Marcos, Kyle, we're on the bullseye. I mean, we're on the bullseye. We are more vulnerable for flooding than anybody in the county by far. So, maybe we can use that. Because, a lot of people don't realize it till it happens. And they're all.
yeah, and then it's
Yeah,
like,
that
why
flood.
didn't I get to say in
We
it?
had a flood in 10 years, so people kind of forget how devastating that flood was.
Yes, Okay.
I'll be quiet.
that's okay. Let's move on to new business, the May 3rd general election.
Just quick, since Jared was out that meeting for special, this is what the county ended up sending us, 10,051. That's what, that's the cost of the election that essentially just got ordered. Yeah, that happened. And the drawing happened as well. I'm not sure if candidates are getting the emails. I'm pretty much sending it to you all's the I guess personal emails that y'all put on the application for a place on the ballot. So if you're getting it, good. If not, I'm just letting you know that's where I've been sending some of the personal notices for the drawings and results. So these are essentially what I sent to county for the ballots. If you'd like to review it, I did my best based on the ballot of last year and county's ballot last year as well, and kind of just stick to the template, just to avoid any I don't know, drama, I guess. And so election, general, and then in Spanish as well. City of Martindale, May 3rd, 2025, and then this is the order essentially, for mayor, vote for one or none, and then, Councilmember Laura Sanchez Fowler is first on the ballot. Mayor Catherine Glaze is second on the ballot. And then our council member, running for council member, place 2, vote for one or none, Matthew McGovern. This is final candidate ballot order, so just, let me know if you see any discrepancies. I really tried, so I doubt it. And
You, Stu.
yeah,
Do you have to put the pronunciation because if someone is,
it's not obvious, but I wasn't gonna run the risk in case they do need it. I did it for them, so it's up to them if they feel like putting it on the ballot or not.
Yeah, I told you it starts with H. Some people want to say Houston. Come on, it starts with an H.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So
is there a ballot if you're blind? And so that's why it has the pronunciation.
Yeah.
So there's vocal ballots.
mhm.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, and I put you guys as unopposed declared elected, but since y'all want to be on the ballot and know your numbers of elections, I found out that I've made the unopposed certificates, but if y'all want a vote on the ballot, essentially these are kind of just for decoration, because you guys need one vote at least to be considered elected. You guys are not automatically elected at the moment. Even if y'all are unopposed, y'all need at least one vote from me.
So you better get in there and vote for yourself.
You better find that one voter. And yeah, that's my quick little report. Just, we're going, we made it. Yeah.
So if we have a town hall meeting between the 2 candidates for mayor, would place 2 and place 5 come there anyway, just to sit at the meeting, or have we figured that out?
A meeting for what?
The meeting that they mentioned that you're gonna have a town hall meeting and you haven't established the date yet between the 2 candidates for mayor. We're gonna have like a question and answer forum. So is it just between the mayor,
I
or
think it
do
needs to be
we,
all candidates.
or do we show up anyway, even
All
though we're
candidates.
unopposed?
That I know, that's not something that I am organizing, so that's more up to y'all. It's not a requisite of Secretary of the State, so I'm not.
I think all
Mary
three-
Beth on behalf of
Three,
the
all
library.
three, that's the
Oh, good,
opportunity,
okay.
that's the opportunity for the
Okay.
public to ask questions of their people that are running for office. My personal.
Also, you can say your accomplishments, what have you done?
Oh, yeah, okay, okay, good, thank you.
And there's information on, there's on the Lockhart newspaper, on our bulletin board here at the front, at the local post office, in regards to our locations for early voting and for actual voting day. For voting day, you cannot vote at any other location unless it's the Three Rivers?
Sure.
Three Rivers Church. On early voting day, all the other locations apply. And I made my best to make that clear on the announcement, on the notice. But just letting y'all know, if y'all have questions in regards to that, it is on our website, on our main, pictures on our front page, but also it's on the bulletin board. And feel free to come in any day for further questions. But yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Deanna.
Mhm.
Okay, Jared and Javi have been working on this short-term ordinances. We weren't sure which order you wanted to take these in, so you could do 3.3 first if you want to, and then 3.2. We just kind of put them on there.
Let's pick up the old business permit.
Okay.
I
So
think that's going to be
3.3.
page 13 in the PDF file. something.
The one we've been working on.
Yeah.
Page 11.
All right, so, last meeting, we had some more discussion regarding fire safety protocols, fees, and renewal, timing. So I'll briefly cover those topics and show where the track changes were. Nothing changed in recitals or in the definitions. Article 2 regarding short-term registration requirements. We adjusted the application fee under section 201, some item J, to have an application fee of $150. That $150 is tied to the cost of a short-term rental inspection conducted by Bureau Veritas, plus a small marginal amount of overhead to be collected on behalf of the city to pay for our administrative expenses. Item K captures an additional inspection fee that is required if the property owner wants to have greater than 2 people per room in occupancy. We can go to 502 to show you where that is. But basically, if we're going to have a cost associated with any inspection, we want to have that inspection cost loaded in on here. No changes in section 202 or 203, 204. Yeah.
Jerry, I know the premise of adding the 150. I would like some type of verbiage in there so that the person, or if it's going to be on the application, that people understand that 150 includes that initial inspection. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because if they just see 150, we're all going to get phone calls like, "What the F did you just do?"
All right, let me go down to,
I had a question about
I know
that
you're working on a
150.
form as well, so, but you know what I mean? I know someone's going to get a phone call, and I just want to be prepared.
nearly Control F.
So part of that 150 would go to Bureau Veritas, and then the other portion would go to the hotel tax restricted fund? How would that 150 be split up? And I guess that's what Matthew was asking.
No, nothing in this is going to a hotel tax restricted fund. The application fee is a pass through. It's a building inspection fee.
So it all goes to Veritas.
No,
$125 of it.
And then where's the other 25?
It reimburses the city for the administrative expense. Okay, so what we can do is we can make an update to item J, comma, which covers the cost of required inspections.
And administrative fees.
Okay.
I mean, if it's covering our administrative fees, we should say that.
So are you thinking, is Matthew saying that people are gonna ask if all of that money is going to the city?
Right.
Okay,
Well, but there has to be some level of explanation of why all of a sudden it's $150. You know what I mean? I'd like to just be clear that, well, this includes the inspection of the premises for meeting the standard, which every other city municipality requires. And so most of the time they might do it differently. So I just want to be clear that the person is like, why am I paying you $150 just to take an application? Like, no, that's going for the inspection. So
yeah.
just like to clear it up. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good edit. That's a good call. I appreciate that.
How about 201 neighborhood notification requirement? Who
Just a minute.
Okay.
I didn't think that it needed to really say administration fee, because when we do fees here, we just tell the person, what it is, that it's like $125. That's what the permit costs. Now, on the paperwork, they can see the breakdown, But I don't think it needs to necessarily be spelled out that it's 125 for the inspection and 25 for administrative. That's my personal opinion.
So it's
Yeah,
actually,
because the contract has mentioned.
If it's if it's gonna be on the application, that's fine by me. I just want to make sure that when the person comes in and sees the fee, that they are not sticker shocked. They understand what the cost is. The city's not just grabbing 150 and putting it in their pockets. That's all.
Yeah.
They're just trying to
Right.
good point.
protect you, the mayor, and the staff from getting their yelled at.
We can always waive $25 if we deem necessary, but we can't waive the 125. That's a hard cost that we have to pay.
Well, if we need to charge the $25 for an administration fee, just say it, because if, as Matthew was saying, if they're concerned about the cost of that and we're saying 125 is for the inspection, then people will say, well, what's the other $25 going for? I mean,
Well, we're
that's-
just gonna say-
that'll
I
be
think
the
he
next
was saying
question.
The 150 that it says includes the inspection.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he said break it down that much, did you? I don't know, I can't hear him very well.
Okay, well, if we don't want to tell them
I
and
think
be
it's
transparent
fine.
about it, then that's fine.
Well, I don't think that's the issue. I think it's fine to put what each. 155 and 25, I think that's fine.
Our applications usually have the service fee right there. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add that. Any other questions on that section? I think you.
Neighborhood notification, who notifies the neighborhood notification requirement?
The applicant.
I thought it said that on there.
It does.
What number is that?
Section 2.02, the neighborhood notification.
The applicant notifies that they're having an Airbnb, and that, is there a certain distance from the Airbnb?
500 feet.
500 feet,
Yes, 202A.
okay. Two zero two A, oh, 500 feet, yeah, okay. Local.
You sure? Where's that?
Where is it?
I can't remember, but I was reading it. You know where it says like quiet, let's see, it's under.
Noise, it says noise between 10 and 8 or something.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right, in Article 3, registration, terms and fees. The registration is valid for up to 2 years. That continues from the last edit. There is no additional changes from the last time we looked at it on Article 3. Going to Article 4, life safety, this is where we've made additional changes. Where we've included basically all of section 401 has been updated to reflect the requirements for smoke alarms and sleeping areas, every room and corridor within the path of means of egress from a sleeping area to the door leading from the dwelling unit, and each story within the dwelling. That was based on the prior conversation we had in last council.
On the,
Sections 401, A, B, C, and D.
are you at 402 yet?
No, that, we didn't have any change from the last conversation.
Could you put protection of the dark sky ordinance instead of night sky? I mean, isn't it a dark sky ordinance?
Yeah, I saw that.
I'll look at the,
Because I mean, that's all we've been talking about is adopting a dark sky ordinance, and this just says protection of the night sky.
it was adopted on-
I've never heard that quote. I've never heard it called that before. It's a
we
dark
can-
sky ordinance.
That sounds like the same thing, light sky, dark sky.
It's not what our ordinance is. We have a dark sky
Yeah,
ordinance,
that's-
not a
that-
night sky
it's
ordinance.
protection of the night sky is what the chapter name is, and as it's codified.
Who's our zoning administrator? Compliance by the zoning administrator.
I am, the city administrator is, so serve this position would be.
402A, reviewed and approved by compliance by the zoning administrator.
Yes,
That's you.
yes.
Okay.
Unless city council were to establish a separate zoning administrator from the city administrator. Right now, it's one of those additional duties where vacant, it defaults to the city administrator. The rest of 403 covers property standards, which we're just talking about 402, and then conduct, the premise. Article 5, Section 502, that was updated to modify some of the language regarding the requirements for exceeding the limit of occupants. So we require that no more than 2 occupants per bedroom shall be allowed when renting the property unless approved by the city. What we've added is that approval follows a life, safety, and means of egress inspection and payment of an additional inspection fee of $50. The reason for that is it's a more detailed inspection, and that's a straight cost transfer from Bureau Veritas.
That's a one-time $50 inspection?
Yeah, and so that's due with each subsequent permit renewal. So if you come in and you have a 3-bedroom house and you want to have an occupancy limit of 6 people, the fee is $150. If you have a 3-bedroom house and you want the occupancy to be 8 people, your fee is going to be $200. It's $150 plus the 50. No other changes there. And then it looks like in our edit, we missed an edit on section 6, article 6, 601, to reflect that the inspection is due at the time. I think that as we're going through the different versions, we might have just missed that. So when you guys see this again, in addition to those changes to the fee description, we'll also change 601 to show that inspections are required prior to issuing the permit after the application is made.
Oh, I thought it said that somewhere.
It did, but there's some internal not matching up in the document. So we'll inconsistencies. So we'll change that. And then the rest of this remains as is. So council, if you want, we can make those changes, adding the end of J, which covers the cost of revenue inspections and administration fees. And then we can change section 6.01. The city shall conduct administrative inspections of short-term rentals, ensure compliance, period. The building official shall inspect short-term rentals at the time of application, period. And then with those 3 changes, if we want, we can make those after, or make that as part of the motion for approval, or we can clean up the document and bring it back to you at the next city council meeting, whatever you prefer.
Does Airbnb also handle rentals of a month or more? Or are they all short?
We're not going to regulate how Airbnb advertises properties, but if it's less than 30 days, then it would be or 30 days or less, it'd be applicable to our ordinance. I suspect that it doesn't go beyond 30 days because that's kind of a rule of thumb that's been adopted pretty broadly, but it might.
And it's regulated by the state. So I know we've.
That applies to the state statute definition of what a short-term rental is.
Yeah. Because we rented out on the coast in years past, and if it's over 30 days, then they don't have to pay that hotel tax.
Yeah, that's correct.
How will checks and balances and the city work with Airbnb to monitor these situations about rentals and when when somebody rents, say, that weekend, and then they pay this, whatever the percent fee is, and it comes to the city, and then we know exactly based on that date and that address that they paid, or what is the checks and balances?
On the payment, we'll get to that in the next ordinance. In terms of compliance with, say, noise or occupancy and other things, that would fall under section 6.03 enforcement regarding permit, revocation. So if there's a previously issued permit where there's been a violation, essentially there's a notice and hearing, process that would go through, and then the city council or planning and zoning commission would determine whether to revoke that permit or not. So if there's a repeat, noise complaints or what have you, the city could issue a notice with document, better than we've had prior public hearings, documenting these are the days, times, and nature of the complaint, documenting all that, providing notice, and then having a public hearing regarding that and allowing them to be heard as part of an administrative procedure. And then the planning and zoning commission, after allowing that due process to take place, make a decision whether to revoke or not.
Revoke for that fiscal year in which they paid, or forever?
Revoke it. Now, when it comes time to reviewing the permits, believe prior issues are part of the approval process.
I'm just curious, if you've been revoked once, where does that play into getting it?
It said something in there about it. It had something to do with whether or not you would be approved.
I'm pretty sure that Terry will decide.
Yep.
That's where,
What I remember.
rental. No, I don't see anything about revoking if the consequences of it, or how long it is a
Well, it
consequence
says
for.
permit revocation,
Which one is that? What number?
section 6.03.
Yeah. It doesn't say for how long,
We need
if it's
to,
the rest of the year.
we need to figure that out. Revoke an owner's permit effective immediately.
Mhm.
Well, see, this is where I'm concerned because it puts all the onus of this on one person. Because the review process, the way that reads is the city administrator only. That's where my concern is.
No, it's the planning and zoning
Planning and
commission.
zoning commission will determine whether to revoke or an owner's permit effective immediately, but
It doesn't say
I'm
how long.
referring
it's
about
revoked.
reapplying. If he reapplies again, and you're putting the onus on one person. The way I read it, as it sees right now, it doesn't say they have to go back, undo it from P and Z. I don't read it that way. Maybe I'm reading it wrong.
All it
We can
says-
add that. We can add,
For the rest of the
for,
year.
permit revocation that any reinstatement of a permit must be approved by planning and zoning commission.
Sounds good to you, Matt?
So you
Yeah.
could revoke it immediately,
Yeah.
you could unrevoke it immediately at the planning and zoning meeting then.
Well, it would take an act of planning and zoning to revoke it and an act of planning and zoning to reinstate it.
Or you would resubmit a permit then.
Resubmit, but the approval would go to the planning and zoning.
Not okay with you, Matt?
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you.
because if an owner understands the seriousness of it, you got to give them an opportunity to rectify it, or get a new management company that's going to manage it, something that's going to change. And I don't want to put the onus on one person because that, creates a potential finger pointing situation and pressure That is
Oh.
not fair for an employee, to
Mhm.
do that when they weren't the ones who performed the action of revoking it. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, well, that's, I think that's a good comment.
Did any other cities revoke it for a certain period of time? Do you know?
I don't recall seeing it, but
Maybe they revoke it until you fix whatever the problem is. Like if they revoked it because you didn't get an inspection, or they revoked it because you violated some ordinance, once you pay the fine or fix it, then can you reapply?
yeah. Or ownership changes.
Wimberley's does revoke it for a period of time. I do not remember how long, but they do revoke it for a period of time. But I much prefer them just fixing it, you know what I mean, and coming to council, the P&Z, excuse me, and saying, look, I got a new property manager or something, whatever, I'm gonna take care of this another way, or not
Isn't-
rent a property for people under 25 or so, because there's actually quite a few properties. They do other things that, prevent, situations that we're not happy with, you know what I mean? There's other ways around it. There's a lot of them that don't do under 25 as an example.
Well, then wouldn't it hurt to say once the violation has been remedied, then the possibility exists to,
Well, that's why they go before the planning and zoning.
Is that what we're adding?
Yeah, they would petition the planning and zoning commission for reinstatement.
it says it there in 603?
No.
No, we're gonna add that.
Add that at 603.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll add that at 6.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, reinstated. And if there's additional inspects, maybe if there's a fire safety reason why they were
Yeah.
denied, they'd have to pay for a reinspection fee or something. We'll add that into.
So do we have to make changes on this stuff?
Yeah, we'll bring it back. Is there anything else? All great comments.
So do we still have to make a motion, or we just wait?
We'll defer it.
Okay.
Nice one. Well done.
So I don't know if we need a motion to defer. We just go ahead and defer it and mark that in the minutes that we defer. And if you want, we can go to, unless there's any comments from council on this, we can go to the next draft ordinance dealing with the same issue, but it's specifically the hotel occupancy tax. And so that starts on PDF page 7.
Mhm.
And Javier and I went through some discussion and some thinking through how to structure the terms. And it made sense to us to, at least to me, and I think to him as well, to keep all the hotel occupancy tax in one area, in one term. And so the real distinction between a short-term rental provision and a regular hotel provision really has to do with collection and reporting. And so those are the changes that you primarily see. You want to go to PDF page. Where you see red underlined, that is where you see black font, that is what the current ordinance reads as is codified on our American Legal Publishing website. Where you see red and underlined, those are additions. Where you see red and a strike through, those are subtractions. So at first, under definitions, we clarified some of the references to the tax code where it defines certain terms, and then provided additional terms. If you want to scroll up a bit to the top of the page, there you go. Provide additional definitions that are used later. Consideration, short-term rental listing service. So consideration is easy. That's the cost of obtaining the right to use or possess the short-term rental property, excluding the cost for any food served. The short-term rental definition is the same from our other ordinance. I chose to include it here rather than create another reference point, so you can look at one ordinance and have all the information. New is definition number 3, short-term rental listing service. This describes that it is a person, company, or other legal entity that participates in the short-term rental business by facilitating or collecting fees for booking services. Basically, it's your Airbnb, VBROs. They would apply to this definition. Defines occupancy as it's used later in this code, and occupant the same as it is defined in a prior short-term rental ordinance. Because the statute uses this concept of a permanent resident existing more than 30 days, we went ahead and applied, just for ease of reference, included this here, even though it's defined by statute. And then going down to 7 and 8, we decide, define who the person is that's taking these actions that are required by the ordinance, and then define a quarterly period. So that way the city has a defined quarterly period. It helps us track payments and collections and reporting.
Does it need to be defined to guest, or is that just sort of implied that it's anyone they invite?
I don't think it would matter in the terms of the tax levy and collection.
So it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter as far as, because they're not being
Payment.
charged.
Yeah, it's the person that's getting charged, that's who it's like getting taxed from and such.
Okay,
So paragraph B, this used to be levy and collection of hotel occupancy taxes all combined. We split up the collection into a separate subparagraph and left the terms related to the levy. Going down to paragraph C, this is where we have the different collection reporting requirements specific to short-term rentals. Where C1 states that collection is responsibility of the listing service. And then filing reports and payments of the tax collection on paragraph 2 describes that those payments are paid on the last day of the month following each quarterly period. And that's the listing service who's required to collect and impose this tax and remit the payment.
Jared, may I interject?
Go ahead.
So the way I read in collection, you changed the wording that was different from what I sent from the other entity. What I'm concerned about the way it's written is that it leaves ambiguity because of the word or, that the homeowner that is listing it can say, well, it says I could do it because it could be or. What I would like to have something where it's very specific, the way Airbnb told us, is that if it is listed with a service, they must collect and report. And then if they do any rentals that are not on a service, then the owner, whatever, then does a report separately for other transactions. But if it's on the service, the service must do it.
I don't see the reference to or
The way I read
except
it,
for the
you could
penalty
make
for
any of the
violation.
It could be every short-term listing service, or person owning, or operating, or controlling. It could be any of those four.
Where's that?
The way C1 collection, every short-term rental service, person owning, operating, managing, or controlling shall collect it. Well, I don't see it being clear that the listing service must do the collecting and the reporting.
So even a property that's not using a listing service would still be required to pay the tax.
I understand, but I want to be specific because that's what Airbnb says. You must write it specifically that we have to do it. And I don't see it specifically. This leaves it as or, which means it could be any of the four entities that are mentioned there. It's not saying that they have to. It's or. Which could be.
That was a copy and paste.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Which one are you referencing?
Pretty
It's
surprised
the
about
email
it.
I sent with the attachment. That is not. That is not a copy and paste. I'm gonna just.
Okay. All right.
No,
I think
if anything, the one that was done in outside of San Antonio, you are actually more detailed than they were, to be quite honest with you. So you actually have other, better verbiage, but it's not clear to me because they basically left it that the listing agents must collect. You've actually indicated, as you know, there are some people that are renting and not putting it on the listing agent. So you're covering another scenario that they do not cover. But the Airbnb people specifically said you must write it so that we have to collect it. And it must be very specific. The way I read this, if I'm renting my Airbnb, as long as I say I'm going to do it, I'm fine. Then Airbnb is going to say, it doesn't say I have to do it. He says, you need to make it so I have to do it. I mean, I'll send it to them because I didn't get a chance to send it to them, but I would like to send it to them and get their.
Yeah, I don't know if there's in my mind, I would think a short-term rental listing service is operating as an agent of the person owning. But we can work with Kent also on the constructive interpretation. I think what we might be able to do is any person owning a short-term rental shall collect the tax imposed, or every short-term rental listing service shall collect the tax imposed by this article of the city. Period. If it's so used or something like that. But we'll wordsmith it. We'll make sure that's
Did we
squared
lose
away.
Matthew? Because it seemed like he got cut off.
No, he's there.
Okay. 'Cause it sounded like he didn't finish. Maybe he did.
Why he's good.
He got cut off.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe he dropped and had to rejoin.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question about the noise between 10 and 8. I mean, how are we defining noise? I mean, what if someone has a wedding and then they're giving speeches, amplified speeches, and they're just talking, and commending each other? Is that noise?
Oh, are you going back to the?
I'm going back to the 10 between 8. It says no noise permitted or something. It just says noise. What's noise?
Got our fireman here.
I think we're gonna have to, where is
I thought
it?
it said decibels and all that.
No, it just says,
65, didn't he just tell us last time it was 65? We had this conversation last.
Can we go back to-
Yeah, no amplified noise. So if it's somebody singing a cappella or just strumming an acoustic guitar,
It's not amplified.
it's not amplified. If it's or someone
If they're doing karaoke on a,
you can
Microphone.
karaoke on a microphone,
Amplified.
that's it.
or if they're giving a speech on a,
Yeah,
okay.
hopefully the toasts are over at their wedding by 10 o'clock. Now, the music might still be going. That's another issue.
Well, they could say, no, that's not noise, that's music.
Amplified noise.
That's
They're
amplified
playing
noise.
Amplified.
People have an ability to get a noise permit
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's another relief if it's something where it's a one-off like that. All right, going back to the collection, levy and collection. So filing reports, we put that on the requirement of the listing service. And then require access to rules and regulations in subparagraph B. And then have the penalty for violations. That reflects pretty close to what we have previously, where it's a 50% penalty for late payment and any delinquent taxes drawn interest of 1% per month, beginning 60 days from the date it's due. And then paragraph D is payment, collection, reporting, and payment of hotel occupancy taxes for other than short-term rentals. So this is your typical hotels. And most of that section remains undisturbed from what was there previously. We moved collection from where it was previously, put it in a subsection D, and then the rest is pretty much the same. Just some reformatting and organization changes.
Quick question. I know at one time the Airbnb that was next to Catherine Glaze. We had some issues. And that owner actually printed out some rules for his tenants to use. Would it be beneficial to have, like, we could give the homeowner or the one renting their Airbnb a printed out copy that they could post at their Airbnb showing the rules to the people running the Airbnb?
So, the following, so that's gonna be in section 4.03,
Yeah, it says they have to
I-
post something.
and they have to post the number of occupants, location of on-street parking, quiet hours, 24-hour contact person, trash pickup
Emergency.
requirements, flood hazard evacuation routes, emergency numbers. Notice that, failure to comply is a violation of city code. And we also asked that they provide information regarding activities related to the city of Martindale, so, tourism.
But I mean, what I meant is, would it be beneficial to the homeowners to have these rules? We could give them like
No, that's, if you want to go to,
I
PDF.
mean, we could just, for their benefit, just have, you don't have to have the whole document, just say quiet time,
That's what,
Yeah,
that's what's
so,
required.
so this list is what they're required to post.
post on
In
the
a
on the property.
conspicuous
In a conspicuous
location.
location.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. I'll stand corrected.
Your city.
But I'm just saying, it would be good possibly to provide that document or something to them to give. Or they could, like, that would make it less, they could say, here's your permit, here's a copy of the rules to attach on your wall.
But it says it's posted in a conspicuous location.
I'm saying,
on the
we
dwelling.
provide that to them. Oh, would that be beneficial?
I mean, that's an administrative.
I mean, everything. We could look at that. Well, that's something that the city staff can look at after we go into implementation. If it makes it easier for the inspector to
And-
identify the things.
So
But
when you
there's
get the
certain
permit,
items
you
that
get a
are
Copy of
unique.
that.
Exactly.
There's certain items that are unique. So if it becomes a 2-page top, bottom, tops of the city rules, the bottom has
Yeah.
the things unique to the property, we can look at doing that, but
Because I
for
think.
right now, that goes beyond the
Got it.
ordinance.
Okay, that's all.
Any other comments, questions, concerns on the tax?
Well, you still have to wait what we decide on the 7% tax to insert that, because we haven't decided on that yet.
The city
But
council
that's already been adopted.
had adopted that several years ago.
Oh, I thought we were gonna talk about the tax tonight.
So we're
That's what
on,
we're talking about.
it's on page 8 of your PDF document. On this one.
Oh, I thought we were talking about.
Sir, if you want,
Specific.
I'll provide you a comment, a copy of the life safety changes that we made. City council's already reviewed that. I'm happy to take your comments after.
Well,
the meeting.
after the meeting. Okay.
Yeah, we won't be able to pass it tonight because there's other changes. So if you want to put more comments in.
Oh,
I'll take
we're
it
gonna do a
right.
road.
other than it looks good.
Are you happy, Mr. Tittle?
I'm happy,
Good.
getting there.
All right, if there's no other comments on the tax levy and collection, we'll come back with a rewrite and have that for city council at the next city council meeting.
So 7% is the maximum standard.
I believe so, yes.
It just seems like, I don't know, it just seems
Yes,
like
it
a
is.
lot on top of all the other things, because Airbnb is not really as fashionable as it used to be, because people are saying there's a cleaning deposit, there's 7%, there's this, there's that, and so it's just elevating it up, the cost so much that I would hope, though, that with the 7%, that all those people that have Airbnbs would feel likely to reveal that in an open forum or a permit, or even if they didn't. I mean, it just seems like 7% is so high on top of all the other fees.
If you rent a
It's-
hotel room, it's 15%.
But this
they're
is
paying-
this is a municipal portion.
But
It's
they're
the same
paying-
that in every city that adopts this tax levy, to my knowledge, adopts a 7%.
But they're also paying how much to Airbnb?
I don't know.
It's pretty standard.
But the market has priced in the cost of the tax. We're not the only ones leveling the tax. There's no, benefit or negative to the property owner on what this tax is levied.
Well, it could maybe not benefit the property owner as much if someone that's renting an Airbnb knows that they've got to pay 7% and a cleaning fee and this and that. I'm just saying it makes it less desirable to someone that wants to rent if they're having to pay all these high percentages of taxes and fees and all that. you know?
So
I just think it's high.
that's a consumer choice issue. We can't regulate.
And you pay that, you rent a hotel, they got all kinds, airport fees, all that. they have
All
these.
kinds of.
When you rent a car at an airport, you always attach fees. That's pretty much doing business.
If you want to look at the,
Oh, here, I can give you my written one.
I think. Any other comments, questions before we go on to other agenda items?
that's pretty much it.
The, McGovern had on the second page, you'll see where I circled it. He had a comment about the word or.
No, I was gonna show him the regulation one.
Oh,
You showed him the tax one.
oh, I'm sorry. No, you can keep it.
Okay. Mayor, if you want, Councilman Berry, to move on, we can go to the repairs at Crockett Lift Station.
Okay. All right.
Well
So
done, Jim.
we'll be working on these, not will, that's the royal we, that's Jared and Javi will be working on these. Okay, so I just wanted to bring up to the council, the repairs lately for, the lines and so forth.
Another one.
So this one was actually probably already approved, but I did want to bring it before the council because it is a lot of money, but this is what it's gonna cost to put that bowl and so that we can put the second pump into use in the Crockett Lift Station. So we
What is the one
wanted.
that says this does not include parts or pump, this is for labor only, so that's just saying it's. Cause it's saying it's for the pump,
Ooh,
We already,
and then it's saying, so the 21,000 is just for labor?
it's to put a man down the hole and bolt something at the bottom of the lift station.
Okay, yeah, I
Wow.
think I remember we did talk about that it cost 20,000 to get a man down in the
The
hole.
bypass sewage being provided by others is somewhat significant. That could be quite costly into the thousands of dollars because those Vector trucks for some instance. So, but the price for installing is the lowest quote that we've received in the last 3 years. And so we started working on
We're
it.
kind of
So
stuck.
I highly recommend we approve this and get it installed as quickly as possible.
Okay, so should we make a motion?
yes,
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the estimate for Bueno Plumbing for repairs to the Crockett Street lift
What's going
station.
on tonight?
Like Kripke from. Do we have a
I'd
second?
second that. Second that motion.
It does like she said it.
It's gonna go to
who seconded? Mike did? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion carries. I did have a couple more comments on the costs. We have a problem at Crockett and Lockhart Street right now that we're getting quotes for. Neighbors are reporting sewer smells. There's a broken pipe there. They had dirt, revealed when they run a camera down and stuff.
What does that
So,
mean? Dirt revealed?
yeah, it means that there's dirt
Collapse.
inside the pipe.
Oh, so that means
Was
that
there-
there's
was
a
there
place
anybody-
where the ground's falling in.
Yeah.
Did anybody dig or they had some heavy equipment in that area or something?
I don't remember any heavy equipment. That's the area where the fire trucks are always going. But I don't see why that would damage.
There's a lot of heavy trucks that
A
turn.
bunch of them.
From Lockhart on.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been surprised, so many that are giant full of, the hay bales, like 20 giant, bigger than my thigh size hay bales. And those have gotta be heavy after a while.
What's the depth of that?
Her thigh.
It's about 5 feet.
5 feet depth? They should- I'm an engineer, that should be deep enough.
And the pipes are getting old, and so that's gonna be another expense that's coming, so.
Can any of our grant money be used for that?
Not for that one, that's
Dang
normal
it.
maintenance. And, I am working on 2 sewer taps right now, one at the post office. And luckily, they will not have to cut the road. There's a sewer line that comes, that the restaurant used to have, there's a line that comes then around the, storage building. And then they can run a line from the post office then over to the storage building, and then that line will attach. So I was really relieved to hear that. So we're working with plumbers and Pete
This
is
is all,
working on
this
that.
is off subject, I'm sorry, Mayor. Any more news from the truck stop people?
No, not at all.
Okay,
No, not at
not
all.
at all.
And then the other sewer tap is on 1979. He already had the hole all till, and the neighbor hollered, hey, you're supposed to get a permit for that. So, I'm working on that sewer tap one. Sent Pete right over there real quick. That would have been real interesting to have to deal with.
So they were trying to tap in without a permit? for the sewer
Yeah.
line? Who? Is it a business or individual?
It's an individual, it was an estate, and so family members were working on it. And apparently in different conversations with the water department, different people, they were just doing the work. I mean,
So the water company was involved?
no, not, I mean, they're getting water, they're just trying to renovate the property. I don't think there was any ill intention, but it's just, they were just working, they,
That sounds a
Had to-
little suspicious to me, but I'll leave it at that.
okay,
Me too.
yeah.
Very suspicious. And the question is, was the water company aware of it?
You said you were gonna leave it then.
I'll be quiet. Sorry, you got me, Terry, you got me. Done.
I'm
Sorry.
sitting in Matthew's spot. I think that had something to do with it.
Okay, so that's my comments on what's going on with the sewer treatment world stuff. When you become mayor, you might get really involved in this stuff. Okay, so the next one, 3.5, our chief of police was cleaning up the scenic corridor. And one of the people that got snagged in that is Doria's Cakes. So they have put in an application to approve their sign. Their sign isn't much of a sign. I put in a photograph. They do have lights on the sign. The sign has been there forever. We couldn't find any evidence that there'd ever been a sign permit. So we did have them fill that out. And I would like the city council to approve their sign.
I had a question about the ordinance. So we have the ordinance 15201, and it goes into the definitions of various signs. It is a very complicated ordinance, and it says that it is enforced by the building official, which we don't have. So we need to make a correction to that because we don't have that. Now, there are several, yes.
Technically, it defaults to the city administrator. Per our ordinance. and
Well,
it's
we
one-
should clean that up, but it doesn't say who it defaults to because the police went and pulled up all the signs.
Well, but yeah, just a minute. If you look at the ordinances as a whole, which is a stack like that,
Mm-hmm.
whenever it says that somebody's missing, then it defaults to the city administrator. In the absence of the city administrator, it defaults to the mayor.
Okay.
True.
As someone who then has been working as code enforcement, when the complaint was made, then the police officer said, okay, let's go ahead and have any signs that are not authorized pulled up, and everybody has been compliant.
Well,
There's still one that he's gonna be working on.
the only thing that I find though too is that in the definition, you have a definition of a temporary sign, but there's no definition of a permanent sign, because we tried to make the distinction about the truck stop sign and saying, well, that's a permanent sign. So in the definitions, you actually have a definition of a temporary sign, but not a permanent sign. So, and then it goes into prohibited signs. Now, it says a temporary signs like the one across at the Red Barn Cafe. Those were temporary signs that said like tacos and burgers and all that stuff, but they've been there so long that they became permanent signs. They were temporary signs that were there for many, many months. And so they became permanent signs. And so we need to distinguish between that. And then also even on the prohibited signs.
I think we're getting off track. 'Cause
No, I'm-
On the agenda.
I'm
right
reading
now-
the ordinance
right
that is
now-
relating to signs, and I'm almost done, okay?
No, Sam.
No,
you're-
because
you're
I have
out of
been-
line. You're out of line.
No, I'm not.
If you
I-
want to talk to us about this particular ordinance, please come
Can I
in
just
next
say one
Monday.
last thing
and
on
talk to-
10?
No,
Signs on
no,
private
no,
property not
no.
exceeding.
Stop.
How
We're
can you
off the
censor me?
agenda.
No, the
We're off
agenda
the
is
agenda.
about commercial
No, the
signs on
agenda,
Highway
on the
80.
agenda is to approve
No,
the sign for Dorius
it
Cave.
doesn't say that. It says we're talking about commercial signs on Highway 80, and that's what I'm talking
A
about
metal
right now.
sign to believe.
It
place
doesn't
in the
say
scenic
specifically
corridor.
for one location. I would like to finish my point.
If you
please.
look at the application,
I
it's for
haven't seen the
Dorius Cave.
application. I haven't seen the application. Okay, so all I want to say is that signs on private property not exceeding 1 square foot in area, there should be no more than one such sign per, and so that is exempt from this chapter. If it's a sign that is on private property that is less than 1 square foot. And so all I'm talking about is the ordinance, and that's what we're talking about here, because it doesn't specifically say the baking of cake sign on Highway 80. All I'm talking about is what we're talking about on the agenda. Okay.
Deanna, did you have the application for?
I had the application, but we can't put it because it has their phone number, their.
So it wasn't printed in our
But I
agenda
don't have a
packet.
Photo of the sign or anything.
All I was talking about was the ordinance, and I think we need to review this sign ordinance and talk about it some more at another date, which I can even say in a future agenda item. This is very confusing. It is a
Hey, you
very
said it, but-
confusing
The
thing.
commercial sign permit application for a metal sign to be placed on the scenic corridor and highway.
I did send it to council, I believe. I did send it on the side on the iPads. I sent it to council.
So this picture that I was taking here is to show that the sign is inside on their property. It is outside of the 16-foot limit from TxDOT. And
I did send it to council. It's just that because it's their personal information, I decided to keep it out of the packet, but it is for council to review.
Well, but this wasn't on the City of Martindale website itself.
Because it is.
Well, that's all I'm trying to relate, is that I didn't have a chance to come in and look at this. And so all I was looking at was the City of
well, this
Martindale
was sent to
website.
you in your email.
I didn't have time to check my email. All I did was check the City of Martindale. Oh, why are we arguing about this when all I
Well-
want to do is talk about the ordinance?
Okay, then
I
we
guess I'll
can,
just shut up. Would you like to
Hey,
tell me to
Sam,
shut up
Sam,
again?
Sam.
Please,
Sam,
please.
please
please.
come in on Monday and
Please
talk
tell me
to-
to shut up again,
Please
okay?
come in
Like
on
you just
Monday.
did, like you just did.
Please come in
stop
on Monday and
telling me
talk
to
to
shut
our
up.
city administrator.
Please stop telling me to shut up. No, she wasn't civil, okay? I'm tired of being told to shut up. I'm tired of it.
You're off the agenda. Okay, so what we are trying to ask here is to approve the sign that's been there forever, because it kind of got caught up in the dragnet of what is permitted in the scenic corridor. And I have to say, it does look very nice. If you go to the intersection right now of Highway 80 and 142, having some of those signs removed that were there, it kind of, it makes it look nicer. So I do appreciate Chief's efforts in that area.
Yeah, that's the reason we have a scenic corridor, to keep the billboards out, which is a great thing the city has done.
Yes. So this sign, apparently the picture of the sign hasn't gotten through. But if you recall, it's a small metal sign. It's almost not even readable, but people love Doria's Cakes. She does have lights on both sides that kind of reflect onto the sign. I don't think it takes away in any way from the scenic corridor. So,
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to speak, but I'm a little confused. What does the ordinance say about having a business sign on my personal property? And what does the ordinance say?
Well-
Is there a limit of?
There's a fee. You
That's
can,
it.
Yeah.
you can have the sign except for a fee.
and it's for the city council to review because it is the scenic corridor all through Martindale.
In
is the
this
scenic corridor.
particular case,
Oh,
because
so we're talking about the ordinance now then?
Where
You
as
just said we
as it
couldn't, and so
pertain-
now
no,
we're doing it?
No, Sam, as it
Yes, we were.
pertains to
Yes,
this
we were.
one issue of this one sign,
No, we were just talking about the ordinance.
as
Weren't
it
we?
pertains to this one sign.
Well, here's the positive thing. We had the foresight 20 years ago to do a scenic corridor to keep the stinking billboard signs, the huge ones, coming in. That was a great thing that they did 20 years ago. That's why don't have a bunch of stinking billboards that are huge. So the cities did a good thing by doing it. I have to say.
So should we make a motion to approve the sign?
Yes, please.
is it the city council or is it, sorry, because there's 2 permit applications required and that were submitted. One is an application for the scenic corridor and then the application for the sign itself. And so,
Yeah, isn't that something?
okay, yes, 30, okay, so it's 30 days, city council. The problem is that in the processing of a scenic corridor application, there has to be a public hearing. And so we haven't had a public hearing on the scenic corridor part of the approval.
What do we do?
Okay, so what did you call that when we
So.
Deferred.
deferred?
Yeah, we'll need to defer it. It was just submitted this last week, so we'll be able to address it within the 30-day window. The reference for this is the 150.028 subparagraph G, processing of an application for decision. And then it also has the criteria for approval. That's for the scenic corridor portion. Now, the sign regulations, I think is 152.09 has the sign permit and it's left to the building official, from what I can tell, to approve. And I'm getting that from 152.09D. That when a specific use permit is required for the construction, erection, placement, repair, or modification of a sign, the permit shall require an applicant and processing according to the building code ordinance. And then the building official sitting as a sign review board, and in accordance with the building code ordinance, shall take action upon request. So I would recommend the procedure to be approval of the scenic corridor certificate of appropriateness. And then after that's in place, the building official or the person sitting as the building official can approve the sign itself to go in. This is one of those areas where because of the scenic corridor issue, there's 2 activities required. And I think we'll just defer, have the public hearing on the scenic corridor application.
Wish I would have had a chance to mention that, but I didn't, so. You know, that's.
So it's a good thing. It's a little bit of a hassle.
Well, I
It's a
was
great
gonna
thing.
mention that, but I guess I couldn't.
The purpose of the ordinance as you related as is being shown to be in effect.
Well, I'm a little bit confused as to what we're approving. So it looks like it's saying that we're approving the permit application for a metal sign.
So, yeah, the problem is we didn't have the public hearing.
Yeah.
Portion.
City corridor.
So where we public notice, we're setting a public hearing, anybody who wants to comment on the submitted certificate of appropriateness can speak.
Oh.
So
okay.
we're just missing that in the agenda. Oftentimes on those things, it's, we open the public hearing, does anybody here want to speak to it? No one's here, close the public hearing and then
Okay,
proceed.
all right.
So that's all.
So right now, we just will defer it until the next
For the
meeting.
public hearing.
All right.
And then for the public hearing, we have to put a notice in the newspaper.
10 days in advance. So
So we'll do it right away.
as long as it goes out. Let's see, how's that work?
They go out every Thursday.
We have 2 newspapers of record. We might just use the San Marcos Record. So
Because they-
Okay. Are there any future agenda items?
One, if I can offer to council is once we get done with the short-term rental issues, no council requested the opportunity to comment on a heritage tree preservation ordinance. I sent that to council members out in an email. If you have reviewed and want to provide individual feedback back to me, as the staff and I are going through our drafting process and revising it, we could have that ready for council to review. Depending on what the length of the agenda is for next month, or this next meeting in March, but I might be able to have that ready for the first meeting in April.
Well, before we do that, we really need, I've been asking for a fence ordinance and flatware. If we're serious about the impervious cover, you have got to have those. Because just like at 105 Northwest River Road, when that fence was requested, it could have been denied because of the impervious cover and FEMA rules and all kinds of things like that.
Okay.
But it's,
So would that be a discussion about that, or what are you suggesting? I'm
Well,
confused.
we would need a,
we can pull up a draft and present it to council to
Basically, what we
discuss.
did, basically what we did today for the tax one, just like basic, this is what we're thinking. Input, send us input, next meeting, come back with.
Would you mind, maybe when you decide to send a draft, maybe, I don't know what, a paragraph, a bullet point, whatever you want to do, but some sort of context setting about why we're doing it and what the key points are that are making it necessary to have one? Background, well.
Yeah.
What you put into it might be different depending on what you're trying to get out of the ordinance, right?
so right now it's not, since we don't have a fence ordinance, there's really no way to regulate. If somebody puts a fence up that is even against FEMA rules, because we don't have anything in our ordinance to speak about it pretty much.
To ask for permission first instead of ask for forgiveness.
Yeah,
So,
Because
So if they
because
put up-
fences of a certain height and earthwork, like patios and certain things are exempt in the building codes from permit requirements. So what we're essentially doing is modifying the international code. You know, we follow the international codes, except for these provisions in section 105.1, where it provides items exempt from a permit. We just replace it with our own code.
So right now in the impervious cover, so we ask people, do you have 20% of your lot covered with cement, house, a roof or something before they can build like a second shed or something else on their property? And it's really up to them to tell us, how much land they have that doesn't allow rain to hit the ground. And if we had the flat work ordinance already, then we would already know that, and we can apply both of them at the same time. Instead of just using the impervious cover.
Okay,
Someone mentioned they're exempt from the national code for a reason.
Sure.
wait, no, also, could we, put for some, I mean, we can do the fence first or whatever, but then at some point I do wanna go through the sign ordinance, because it is really confusing to me.
Me too.
So, I mean, if there is a way to just like have a combo about that, I mean, we could do that. I mean, we can't do everything in the next meeting. So just like after we get through these other things, could we put it like on the way bottom?
Well, I think on your property also, the fence, it was not heritage, historic commission that had first denied it. It wasn't the building.
On what
codes.
one?
On your property, where,
Oh,
on your fence?
Yeah, no, that
They
was that.
defined it or
But I wasn't
something.
talking about that. I just was, I didn't actually mean in reference to my fence. I was just meant in terms of fences and signs and where signs can go and where signs can't go and like all of that. So if we could just do the sign ordinance at some point about what. that-
I think also looking at using this as a use case, a sign of a certain size that's really small,
Mhm, mhm.
I think it would make sense to exempt,
It's a good hypo,
It is exempt.
except it's not a hypo. It's real.
If it's less than 1 foot, it's exempt. Says it in the ordinance.
I haven't gone onto the property with a measuring tape, but it looks larger.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:44 PM.
I second that.
All right, all in favor, please say
Aye.
aye. Okay.